Hey everybody, welcome back to the Seller Club podcast, episode 128. Let's drop that beat.
Yeah. Drop that beat. Slow down now. Take a breath and feel the way. Seller Club, we got something to say.
Sick beat today, Ken.
Exactly. We always drop it really good.
I was like, really? What's the adjective? Really hard? Really good?
Right.
Really
But
legit?
all right. Right off the rip, 11 days in, as soon as this is airing, 11 days in May,
Yes.
how are sales?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, my sales are decent, I would say.
Okay.
Not
okay.
over the top. My eBay sales have been very much down. Still, it was kind of that way last month also, but the other platforms have been picking up the slack. So I don't know if that's a case of, overall, I just picked a really great time to aggressively start cross-listing, or if those items would have sold on eBay instead. But I think a lot of my seller friends have been noticing like slower sales on eBay. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happening like site-wide, and the whole ads attribution change. There's just been a lot of stuff under the current, I feel
too,
like. Yeah.
Right? Worldwide.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I would say that it felt meh,
Yeah.
but we got to look at the numbers.
Right.
If we compare where we stand now compared to the same exact period last month, I'm 26% up
Wow, on eBay?
on eBay the first
Wow.
the first week.
Yeah,
So,
let me look at mine because April seemed very slow to me too.
So go to, if you guys want to follow along, go to your sales tab and click this month compared to same period last month, and it will show you the
Yep.
the percentage.
My sales are up quite a bit too.
Okay. So I attribute it to our not lock in April.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I feel like
I did not
right?
list as much as I wanted
feel
to
like
in April.
our sprint, because we structured it so much, it felt like a failure, but it still kept us on track. On some track.
Yeah, on a track.
On a track, right?
Kind.
It might have been a roller coaster track, but it was a track.
It's a Screaming Eagle for those of you who are Six Flags people.
So I think, I've always believed that, the work you put in today will be like rewarded a week or two later. So we're seeing that. And
how much did you say yours was up?
26% up.
Mine's up 39%.
Wow.
Which is funny. Sorry, I just want to interject that really quick because I knew last month that my eBay sales were down, but it still seems kind of down to me, and that's a huge improvement.
Right. So that's
that's better news than I thought.
Right. Kudos to you, right?
Yeah.
So again, to
And
anybody that's listening, our fellow sellers, when you feel like it, that it's down, maybe it's up, sometimes we gotta verify our feelings.
Yeah, right.
We have to verify our feelings.
Or reality check them.
Right, reality check them.
Yeah.
Your feelings, right? Like,
yeah.
Again, because it could be a result of like, what if your April was started strong and it tapered down on the end? Because I feel like everybody tapered down in the end.
Yeah.
There were like those technical difficulties that happened somewhere somehow. I definitely saw like on my graph that there was a giant drop in traffic. So like it again, traffic results to sales. But overall, month to month, my traffic is still down. So, which is kind of like, again, probably expected because we're heading to summer. I've definitely.
You're not there yet.
Well, heading to summer because I feel like everybody's prepping for their summer vacay already.
Mm.
Graduation's happening already, so maybe you could be a beneficial of people buying graduation gifts from your store, or
Mhm.
you could be the suffering from it because they're not buying from your store because they're having to pay expensive dinners.
Or they're having to pay way more for gas.
Oh,
Gas
all
has
right.
been so bad.
The first time I've ever had to pay like $65
It's a lot
to fill the
for a
minivan.
tank.
Like that's the first time. I probably had to pay that before when it was like empty, right? Like this one is like I try not to get it as empty because you know how the gas prices are swinging so much. So
Yeah.
so every time I was like, I feel like it's down. Like let me fill up. So that 100%. I think that's a variable that we are experiencing. So yeah, that is kind of like where we're at. Like sales wise. I have to say though, I've been inspired with your cross listing.
Ooh.
Kind of like challenge that you did or the shift that you've done. We have been selling about like 4 to 5 items like every other day because like that's kind of like how our shipping on
Yeah, like every
those
shipping cycle.
every shipping cycle
Mhm.
on our smaller platforms. So yeah, so like for example, like today we shipped 3 items combined from Poshmark and Goat.
Yeah.
So that I feel like that's getting better. I'm a lot more confident sending offers on Poshmark. There was some person that sent an offer, and I was like, "Oh, this is more than what I would sell on eBay." But let me check eBay real quick before I accept it. So I'm still there because
Yeah.
there's a huge punishment for not fulfilling your
Right. So you got to make
commitment.
sure.
Yeah.
You're a little
So
more careful about it now.
yeah, so there's that, but I think we're gonna see some uptrends now. I can share more a lot about what I've been up to,
Yeah.
but I think we need to dive into our topic today, Anna.
Sounds good.
You gotta
Hold on, I'm
introduce it.
queuing up my swim cap and my goggles to dive into
Oh,
this.
wow.
Not really.
We might need some oxygen tank because we're gonna scuba dive.
We might. We might wax a little philosophical in this episode. But sometimes
in
that's
some
helpful.
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's the big picture stuff, right?
Yeah, big picture, and I think this is probably a conversation that I guess our close circles we talk about this a lot more often,
Yeah.
or maybe we never talk about it because we're just so focused on the grind, trying to get to the next level.
The nuts and bolts talking
Yeah, or
shop.
we're
Yeah.
too, like the conversation between business operators could be so like tactical at times.
Mm-hmm.
But also like I guess I've been more on a maintenance mode and cruise control mode that I get to step back further a little bit lately.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, that's something that kind of setting yourself up for the rest of the year with your inventory and your inventory management. That affords you the opportunity to reflect a little more, I
Right.
guess, and not just be like hair on fire going for a goal.
Right.
But goals are actually a big part of this idea. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? This is the big question that's, I wouldn't say exactly like a rhetorical question, but
Right.
it's the question at hand, which is checking in about your why.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? Why is this your chosen business and lifestyle? Like the point of inflection to look at this question, I think is kind of where you're at, where you're like, well, I've set it up and I've hit my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what? Like, do I set out to achieve a higher, quote unquote, a higher goal?
Mm-hmm.
Do I expand the goals? Do I expand the horizon? Do I look longer term? Do I look bigger and flashier? Like where am I putting my focus and my sort of eyes? Where am I fixing my eyes
Mm-hmm.
for the progress of my business? Or like on the other hand, I guess, is that even what you do once you've kind of met your goal and you've set out and achieved what you set out to achieve? Do you just totally recalibrate? Like, what happens, What happens when you get to that moment?
Yeah, I think when you talk about goal, right? Like a lot of times it is attached to a numerical number, right? Whether it's dollar figure or
we set a lot of measurable goals,
right? Acquisition of
yeah.
X amount of things,
Or
right?
listed value.
Yeah, listed value, number of items,
ASP.
Or like in like more of like a day to day, it's like, all right, like I have 2 cars, I have a house. Should I buy more house? Should I buy more cars? Those kind of things. And I don't know if it kind of just like happens, but this time around the goal feels like it's not a number anymore. This time around the goal is like a feeling.
Yeah.
It's something that you experience. So the last 2-3 years have been just kind of like grind getting back on eBay, right? Like 2022 we went hard doing live selling and everything like that. Didn't really pan out long term on how we wanted it to be, and really fell in love with just static listing. I don't want to be on a camera selling things. I just want to list items. So that kind of like we had to build back up inventory. And part of that goal is like I want to hit $500,000 in inventory value, aka 5,000 items listed at $100 ASP. That's your 500,000. And if I sell 10% of these every month, that's $50,000 in sales every month. That's kind of just like been the the ceiling to hit at that point. But we didn't quite hit the dollar listed value. I think we got out to 420,000 listed. But we did hit the quantity, which is 5,000 in quantity. So the ASP is not there. Obviously, we all know that, especially sneaker market, ASP has dropped drastically in the last three years. But it never really bothered me to kind of like, I need to source more. I need to get more.
Yeah. Or
it's
like,
more of like
to force yourself to
just hit that
extra hard just for the sake of hitting those goals,
Yeah.
which were kind of arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like, you could have chosen,
I
want to make 472.
Right. Like, yeah, it is, but
value.
but I think the last 60 days, I would say, the goal felt like a feeling. The goal is not a number anymore, and I'm trying to relearn and make a reality out of what if goal is not a number? What if goal is a feeling? So that's my question. That's my question to to anybody that's listening, right? Like, a lot of times we set a number to hit, whether we hit it or not, right? And let's just say like I hit it, but beyond that, do I feel good about hitting it? Do I still have the stamina to keep going? Did I build a life that, looking back after hitting that number, this is what I set out to have by then,
or like, are you like a shriveled up pile of rags by the end of hitting that goal?
Yeah,
but you hit the goal.
You're like worn out, right?
Yeah,
or like worn out, and then you have to like track back again to get your get things
sanity
in order.
back, or your health back.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the question I keep asking myself. We've had a lot of conversations off podcasts and said like, maybe this is just a cruise control kind of year, right? And I've said this in the beginning of the year that I probably didn't know it yet, but I said, if we're just gonna have a repeat year, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like that, at least from the outside looking in, right? Or the things you can see from the outside.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting how people who have a lot of drive and want to build something,
Yeah.
how we have a kind of negative bias about how we talk about maintenance mode. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's cruise control. It like
Yeah.
implies that it's like
You're not
kind
doing
of like
anything.
lazy or missing, you know,
Right.
opportunity cost or whatever, when
Yeah.
in reality, you know, unless you just want to be obsessed with your business and only your business for the duration of your working life, doing maintenance well is extremely important. And it's a different
It's difficult
mode.
too.
It's a different skill. It's
Yeah.
a different mode to master,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Building
100%.
and growing is one mode and maintaining is a different mode, but it's not an inferior mode.
No.
And it's not easier even necessarily.
I think this is what it is. This is the story that I tell myself. When I'm in a growth mode, I feel like the excuse to put other priority away
Mm-hmm.
is much stronger because I'm building.
Yeah. You're like,
Kind of, you know.
oh, it's a no-brainer.
It's kind of like, oh, I'm
sacrifice
chasing
this
after
other
this
thing.
opportunity. Health can be later. Oh, I'm
Right.
chasing after this opportunity. Relationships can be better later.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you feel when you're in that seat, I feel like you feel like they should understand you because you're trying to reach a mountain.
Yeah.
And I mean that's just a selfish way of looking at things, right? But the other thing that's very hard with maintaining mode is now that you don't have that big of a valid excuse,
Yeah.
quote unquote valid, right? It's like, wait, did you take care of this? You take care of this. You take care of this, and now all of a sudden it's like, crap. Like I really do have a lot of things to take care of.
In other words, it's a great, exciting way to avoid stuff that you'd rather not put
Yeah.
your time into
Yeah.
or that you'd rather not focus on. Like,
yeah,
I mean, at its worst, right? Like,
right.
that's definitely also legitimate that when you're building, you can't just be distracted constantly
No,
by
you
other
can't.
things.
Yeah,
So
you,
if it's
you
not,
hone in, right? Yeah.
yeah, if it's not like really critical, you have to set it to the side or
Right.
you won't be able to grow.
No,
Like,
yeah.
you can't do everything all the time. Right?
Yeah.
But that's a good point. You know what? I am noticing this really interesting, like, side by side, right? A juxtaposition of what we were talking about at the top of this episode, where we're like, oh, how did you feel like this month went? Well, let's use the numbers to reality check that
Right.
and to bring us back to reality and kind of maybe reevaluate, you know, when our feelings and those numbers are not
Right.
telling the same story, we're using the numbers to basically encourage ourselves.
Right.
But this is almost the opposite,
Correct.
where like you're saying, well, what if the goal is a feeling? And
Yeah.
maybe that's not very objective. And maybe the numbers don't really translate to the feeling, right?
Yeah.
In this bigger picture way. So there's this saying in like mental health that we always say that's feelings are not facts, right?
True.
And a lot of times we say that to kind of give you permission to not believe everything your feelings are telling you,
Right,
or to
right.
not take it as like the gospel truth. Like, it is
Right.
a little subjective.
Yeah.
They're important pieces of information, but they're not facts.
Yeah, they're not the only one, right?
Right.
Like I feel like it needs to be verified, right? Like,
yeah, it's like really good information, but it's not sufficient on its own.
Right.
But on the other hand, like, no, our feelings are not facts. The great power that they have over us is because they color our experience. So
I
it's like,
that. Yeah.
what do you care about more, the facts on paper or the actual experience you're having of your life?
Right. It's
Like-
it's kind of like having, like, when you said that, it's like having all the money in the world but
Mhm.
not have enough time to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, that is the worst feeling, right? The
Right.
worst feeling is being able to afford a vacation, but you cannot take a vacation
Yeah.
because your business has a hold on you.
Or like how many millionaires on their deathbed, right?
Yeah,
I
like,
wish I made another dollar. No, that's
Right.
not what any of them are saying.
no, they
Yeah.
always say, like, I wish I spent more time, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's
that's right.
always that. And I think that's one of the things that we've, in a way, I don't know, maybe I foresaw it, that this season was gonna happen, but for, I think, almost 3 years now, we've taken our health very seriously, and I think because we've done that 3 years ago, now, like, if there was one thing that I was putting in priority over everything else, it's health. It's
Right.
eating better and working out. And that section of kind of like the life that we have built, I feel really happy and accomplished on that side.
Yeah.
Which is
And I mean, that's a kind of a good example. I think
Right.
it's so common and so natural to compare like working out and running a business. Like there's a gajillion parallels
Right.
to that. But I think this is a good example of something that maybe it has metrics associated with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got measurements and, personal records.
So you know what the crazy part is? I'm so far away from my optimal weight goal, but the feeling is I'm there already.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird compared
Well-
to vice versa of the numerical.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I'm here already, but
Yeah.
the feeling is not there.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say is like, you have metrics, they
Yeah.
help you, they guide, your ability to gauge your progress.
Mhm.
But ultimately, if all the numbers were right and you still didn't feel like you made it there and you weren't comfortable and you weren't in the body you were going for,
Mhm.
you would have to keep going,
Yeah.
like it's not the end all be all to have the
Mhm.
numbers the way you want them.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is going back to the maintaining.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. I think it's harder.
I think because it's not like directional, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
It's like it is, but it's in a more abstract way, I guess, than just like, okay, if I do X, if I do these inputs, then I'll see the increase in this number and that's my output and I can like just keep my head down and keep going and I know that I'm going up or whatever when you're growing, right?
Right.
Maintenance is like, well, yeah, you can look at the numbers and go, am I, listing as much as I'm selling? Are my values kind of staying afloat here?
Mm-hmm.
But then like it's more like the internal experience of doing that where you go like, okay, well, I've got this down pat now. So like now you're like open to wondering about other stuff and questioning like your purpose or your directionality
Right.
because it's not obviously part of the maintenance, right? You're kind
Yeah.
of treading water in a way. Hopefully you're treading water at a depth that you want to be at. But
Exactly.
but yeah, it leaves a lot to open and question when you're doing that.
Yes, and it makes you think a lot more now that you're not single directional. Now
Yeah.
you could see a 360 view instead of just straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening in my rear, what's happening on my side, and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Definitely been more aware of just kind of just like what are the relationships that I could foster more, right? Like even within our family, like we talked about like my parents' 60th upcoming, and
Yeah.
we're supposed to start planning about it. So what I've done is like I've been more vocal to our youngest sister. It's like, hey, like we need to start, what are your ideas? So we talked
Yeah.
about it. We talked about like, having a photo shoot. It's like, done. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh wow, like that would have never had happened. And the crazy part is her take was like, yeah, because I'm so indecisive, that's why they didn't bring it up to me. And I'm like, I'm the most decisive person. Maybe they just see me that undecisive because I'm just so focused deciding on the goal things,
Mhm.
the goalposts that I was looking at.
Yeah.
That for them, everything that's not that, I could
Is
care
by the
less.
wayside.
Right. So I
You're
was
just
like,
laser focused usually.
yeah. So
on
I was
something.
like, that's kind of bad, right? Like that's kind of
kind of bad.
right. That's kind of bad. Like yeah, right. The people that are technically closest to me
Yeah.
thinks I'm that. I'm like, I'm actually. And then Jayshi agrees to it too. Like, no, there are things that you're so undecisive about.
Yeah. Because
But-
you're just like, I don't know. It's not
Yeah.
that important.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing
Yeah.
this weekend? I don't know, but all I know is I'm going sourcing. All I
Yeah.
know is I'm buying products. That's
Yeah.
like, I'm so like locked
See,
in
that's
on that.
funny because like I know you for all intents and purposes through work, right? Quote
Right?
unquote.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're usually like interacting with each other on some kind of a basis that's related to
Right.
working
Yeah.
or pushing towards a goal. And I mean,
Mhm.
we're friends too,
Yeah.
but it's like I've mostly seen you be extremely decisive.
Yeah.
So funny
So-
to hear that.
Yeah, so there was that, and then like I've been, I don't even remember when was the last time I chatted with my other sister,
Yeah.
and I would probably say we've chatted the most this week than the last 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was just like, and it's about life, about like her like trying to make their next move,
Yeah.
and I was like, golly, this is weird, but
How cool though to get to
Yeah.
have that conversation.
yeah, so that's kind of and I'm just more aware of that now,
Yeah.
which is like that is not kind of like that's kind of weird, right? It's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
I know it's new, that's why it's weird.
Yeah, and I mean, it to me that makes perfect sense as like a maintenance mode thing, because I'm a huge believer in the idea that once you provide space, like things show up into that space. And if there was no space for it before, how could that have shown up?
True.
It would have had to show up with a crowbar during a crisis
That's true.
or something
Yeah.
that really pulled
You
your
had
attention
to be like,
away.
I really need you now. I need, right? Like,
yeah,
which
and
is
it's like,
kind of
this happened organically because you
Right.
actually have some margin that you don't
Yeah.
normally have when you're building.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
So yeah,
That's
I
where
mean,
the good stuff is.
yeah, true. That's like you said. This is where the color of life is,
Yeah.
and like I get to give her some advice on how to deal with changes, right? Like they moved
Yeah.
to Canada, and I'm like, what better person to give her advice than me, because I did it 10 years ago, right? And then now they just I was just like, it was just kind of like it's kind of weird. I was like,
You're like, you are so lucky.
yeah, in my head too, I was like, how do you not know this?
Right.
But also at the same
Oh,
time, it's
yeah.
like, golly, this is your first time doing it too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So-
You're a total beginner. Oops.
Yeah,
I forgot.
so-
yeah, 100%.
So I'm having to kind of get that opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And then just talking to people as people. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that sometimes I'm just in a hurry all the time.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I get like, oh, like, you're interesting. You're interesting. You're interesting.
Yeah. It's like you don't
So,
have time to entertain that when you're on the go.
No, I mean, and again, it's the rhythm, right? And I understand that this is the down rhythm. This is the slow dance,
Mhm.
right? And again, the slow dance is where you can have conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important to distinguish within your journey as a business owner, as a a business operator, that there are a lot of things that you are missing out, which again, we've all done it, that you have to miss certain things,
Yeah.
but
it's a sacrifice.
it cannot be prolonged too long,
yeah.
because that too long could time could steal it away from you so quick.
It does go fast.
Yeah, and that's the reality of it. So you gotta feel it out. You gotta feel it. You gotta feel your goal.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of, it's related to my kind of side of this whole question too, or like my little ponderings about it, what it means for me, right?
Right.
Because I'm in a little bit of a different phase, and it's weird to say this, but I feel like I was just, my whole business, little timeline, okay? My
Right.
whole business. First, I was just like trying to build up a side hustle. For like 3 years. I did that. And then I was like, well, now I've got to like up the ante, because this has to be my full-time income.
Right.
And I don't want to spend full-time hours on it. So like, I got to front load all this, a lot of this work and list as much as I can. And I ended up having over 12,000 listings in my eBay store.
Right.
Right. And I went full-time. Shortly before I got to 12,000, I like went full-time. And then when we moved here, so that was like, let me do the math. So 3 years of part-time, and then basically 3 years of full-time in Georgia. And then the past 3 years we've been in Illinois, and that second 3 years to the third set of 3 years transition like it's been a multi-year transition for my
Right.
business because I did downsize a lot when I came here, and this was like the peak of me learning and growing as a seller and optimizing my business too. So like I made a
Yeah.
ton of changes in how I
Right.
run the business. So in a lot of ways, this has been a multi-year process of kind of downsizing, consolidating, better systems, better inventory, strip it down to build it back up. And I feel like only now I'm like in the position actually to like truly build it back up, and not even necessarily in a way where I'm trying to get to 12,000 listings or something, but just to like grow back a healthier business than what I had
Right.
before.
Is-
But in
is
the
it-
meantime, it's still been my full-time work and I've had to survive off of it.
Yeah,
So,
is
like,
it like you
it's slow
kind of
progress.
like polish it a little bit more now,
yeah.
more
Well,
than
and
ever?
now I feel like it's a better machine, and
Yeah.
I can plug stuff into this better stuff into a better machine,
Right,
right? And it's going to be better outcomes, hopefully forever, right? But anyway, so I'm kind of in this spot where I am still pushing hard for goals. I'm happy to say like I'm on track for those goals,
Right.
but like I still feel like in a lot of ways I'm still just getting my own house in order. And the thing that I long for is to be like, and not to rush to get there or anything, but I want to be in this spot where you are in some ways, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready, like not that it can just run itself, but that
Right.
I'm really comfortable with it, and
Mhm.
and I have a lot that I can actually give back to other people. Like the way that you've been tending to these other areas of your life and these other relationships, I try to do that like along the way, but at the same
Right.
time, even in the world of like reselling, I would like to be able to give back more to other people, even in terms of like better advice or
Right.
more encouragement or more hands-on help with things or whatever
Right.
it is. And there are a lot of things that I have an impulse to do at times, and I'm just like, I can't do that right now. I have to stay focused and
Right.
get my own house in order. And I don't know, like
But
I don't
one
know
of the
what
things-
it looks like I don't know what that level will look like for
Right.
me, and what constitutes that level. Like, will
Right,
it
'cause-
be listed
'cause-
inventory? Will it
Right,
be a
yeah, it
certain
could
amount
be
of
like-
income every month? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
There has to be something like in a way tangible that
Yeah.
that it's not that helping somebody or spending time off it's not like forsaking your business.
Right.
You
Because
know,
you
like
can't like help. You can't give something you don't have to give.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta
can,
have
You
you
can
gotta-
reallocate it poorly.
yeah, you
But you can't-
basically
Yeah.
what you're doing is just reallocating it, right? Like you're
Yes.
pushing one off for the other.
Yeah.
But it's not that you was actually free. You're gonna pay for it later,
Correct.
right? Like you might
Yeah.
have to work longer tomorrow.
Yeah,
to-
and I think honestly a lot of my mistakes, if I look back over these last probably 6 years, maybe the whole time I've been full time,
Yeah.
a lot of the mistakes or things I now look at and see as mistakes that I've made have been in that way, where I'm like,
Right.
oh, I did kind of abandon my own priorities for a
Right.
minute
To
because
just fulfill this. Yeah.
yeah, and like maybe I shouldn't have,
Yeah,
Um,
and that is the line that I think one of the things that I saw in you, that you have a planner. This lady plans.
it's sitting
you
right
know?
here.
Right? And
Yeah.
and I'm
This
like,
lady plans.
right? And I'm like, when I met Anna, I was like, golly, like I was telling Gigi, like, she has a planner. We don't have one. We only have a plan. But basically, we only have one plan.
Yeah.
That's to grow this, and that's
yeah,
it,
right.
right?
It's so simple. It's so
Right.
streamlined.
Right, and
Yeah.
but in a way, I don't think not having a planner is a good way to do it. But it varies
I
person
agree
to
with
person, right?
I mean, at least for me, I can't function without my
right.
planner.
It vary, right? Exactly. Like perfect example. There's Anna and me, two different.
Yeah.
You guys might see us similar personalities as outgoing, but the operational
Oh
systems
my gosh,
are so
we're
total
opposite
right?
in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so one of the things that you've done really well during this time or during this build was you were able to step out of certain, I would say, pause your business, to do this. Pause
Yeah.
your business to do that. And
Which is important to me to be able to do that.
Right,
But it
which
does
is-
cost.
yes,
to do
which
it.
which what eBay allows us to do, right? Because
Yes.
we could always, extend our handling time, do this, list later, work at night or something like that. But I think both system will always have a cost,
Definitely
Like-
will.
right? Like it might have slower your growth, and on the business side, but also you could have probably have maintained other things that if you were just a single dimensional person, it was just non-existent.
Right.
Which is again, we all have to, because the goal here is to get ahead, and once you're ahead, you get to cherry pick way better.
You have so
About-
many more choices.
Right, and and that could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yes. If you're not very decisive.
Right,
apparently it could
exactly,
be.
yeah. So there's that. But it's not about doing one or the other. It's about recognizing where you're at. I mean,
Yeah,
the fact that
totally.
you're recognizing it, that you want to be able to hone your business more to get to a point that it's not sacrificing your business to do things for others.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's like my initial why. When we talk about why,
Yeah.
when I created it, I heard Simon Sinek, if you cannot describe your why in a sentence, you don't have a why. So I was like,
Dang.
oh, God.
Scathing.
Right.
Scathing.
And it was a very hot take, right?
Yeah.
And my why then, I don't know, I mean, it still needs to be confirmed if it is still now, but this has kind of just been the big why for me, is to be able to create opportunities for other people to pursue their passion.
Yep.
So that was me. So sharing my story on how I was able to grow my store, I felt like I was able to help others, show them that it's possible. Being able to teach people during our live shows with Glenn for 7 years was that. Now doing this podcast
Yeah.
is that.
It's taken
know?
many forms. Yeah.
Yeah, it's taken many forms. So maybe the question is really like, I don't know my why. It's maybe like, what form will it take this time around? All right.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Like when you repeat that why to yourself right now today, do you feel
Right.
like that still rings true? Like that is still why you want to do it?
100%. Because, I mean, I see it as, it feels like when I was doing it, it was so holistic that everything I did was that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, because a lot of those things have changed,
Yeah.
like the
expressions of that.
the expression of it has
Uh-huh.
changed or have eliminated some, right? Like we don't do live shows anymore. Like my Instagram game is not what it was anymore, right? I don't do a lot of guestings anymore. I don't travel as much, right? So a lot of that have changed.
Yeah.
So now I feel like, wait, since all those are gone, now like, right, now it's podcast. Now it's podcast. So, but I feel like it's more like activity based now, not like it's more of like everything I did. But again, like we mentioned earlier, it may not just be directly related to business anymore. It may
Right.
be directly related to family now.
Yeah.
It may be directly related to, just other activities that maybe talking about my experience, maybe not just telling them how to build an eBay hustle, but pulling back that, wait, can I talk to somebody that wants to, be a fitness coach or something,
Yeah.
that I could inspire them to take that leap because I did take a leap then
Yeah.
in a different way, right? Because sometimes I like, because I've done eBay, I can only advise eBay.
Right.
Technically not, but it could be a lot of the, what are the struggles that I went through, because we all business owners have the same
For
struggle.
sure. Like there's
Right.
a lot that you can
Right. So
generalize, right?
that's
Extrapolate
what
from
I'm-
that.
So that's what I'm thinking now. When I look at that why, maybe I just haven't found all the expressions of it. If I had 10 expressions of helping other people pursue their passion then,
Mm-hmm.
maybe now it's gone down to 3. And that's why
Yeah,
I feel
maybe.
like I have other times that, wait, the other 7 activities are gone. So maybe I feel like, okay, I have this time back.
Yeah.
How can I spend this?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me know when you want to write your book.
Oh, shoot. That could be another medium. We've talked about it. You've talked
Yeah.
about it to me a long time ago.
Yeah.
That could be it, right? Like,
Could be.
then you have time for that, right? And then all of a sudden you're packaging that thing that got you through to be able to help other people.
Yeah, I think it's cool to think about the ways in which different mediums reach different people.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually one reason that the first thing I did was write a book, like a
Right.
paperback book.
You did it
because
before
I
social
couldn't-
media.
Yeah, I couldn't find one. Like,
That's true.
I couldn't find anybody's book about that. And I was like, well, some people are going to look for a book about it and they're not going to be able to find one just like me,
Yeah.
you know?
The only thing they could find is like eBay for dummies.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually really funny. Okay, side note. I was in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago. And before I went, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go to the Library of Congress and find my book in the library.
Right.
A lot of people believe every book published in the U.S. has a copy there, and that's not true.
Oh,
First
it's
of all,
not.
it's
Okay.
not true. No, they have their own. Like, you still have to like submit it into their system.
Okay.
And so I actually do have a publisher, but unless they did this certain process, it wasn't
It's
necessarily
not,
submitted
quote,
into their
unquote,
system.
Submitted there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sitting in the airport in St. Louis about to go to DC, and I'm reading about this because I tried to look it up
Right.
and it wasn't in their catalog, but there
Okay.
were every eBay book that's ever been in there was very interesting. So
Oh,
I encourage
wow.
you to go to their website and just type in eBay in their catalog search and just look at all the different books, and a lot of them are kind of like that, eBay for dummies or like
Like very
eBay
101,
101
right?
or whatever.
Like it's like a manual style.
yeah,
I'm assuming,
yeah.
right?
It's kind of funny. Mine
I
is
wonder
like,
how updated it is. When was the, like, for example, like the last book that
Yeah.
entered was like 1994.
I know, I don't know, but there were a handful, but not a ton. But basically, I figured out, well, what's the way that I can submit this?
Mhm.
And there's 2 different processes for anyone who's writing a book. FYI,
Right.
There's 2 different processes, whether it's before the book's published or after. So like
Okay.
if it's before, then that is involved in the ISBN that your book gets.
Okay.
But my book's been published since 2020, so I had a different process. But I submitted it right there in the airport, and hopefully in like 6 months I'll know if it's in the library now or not. So maybe the next time I'm in DC I can go find it.
That
But
is
it's
interesting.
not, and you can't just like send them a copy of your book. Like
Right.
you have to go through this whole
Imagine
process.
if they did that. Everybody just
Oh my
be saying,
gosh.
oh my. Huh.
What wackadoodle book is this? But anyway,
So that's interesting.
it was an interesting process. You can also go, another fun fact, you can go to the Library of Congress and get a library card because it's for everyone in America.
Right.
So you can go get a library card so that you can go in and use the library, not just like go on a tour, but you can go and check out books. You can work in their,
Oh, sure.
library rooms or whatever. So actually, our good friend Joy Woodruff, me and Joy tried with all of our might to do that, and we missed it. We missed like the closing time by like 5 minutes or something.
So you
So-
couldn't get the thing. You had
No,
to get
we
it
ended
there
up
physically.
not doing it. But next time we're gonna do it. So
Oh, that sounds like a day. That's
I know,
like
it's a really
chill
fun-
day of
it's a
being
really
in a
fun
library
free
setting again.
souvenir also that you can get your Library of Congress library card. And it's like basically across the street from Capitol Hill. Like
Sounds like we need to have a meetup there or some
I think
like
we
eBay
do.
seller meetup. Huh?
it'd be so fun to have Seller Club meet up there.
What? Wait, Anna, did we just figure out another medium of me being able
I
to
think we might have. I think we just cracked it. Yeah.
see? This are the things, right? Then these are the things that I keep asking myself lately. It's like, like the next progression is go bigger, get
Mhm.
more, hire people, get
Well, and
more.
Also, you're not like, I know you well enough to know
Yeah.
that you're not the kind of person who's like, here's my like Hall of Fame moment. Let
Right.
me just go run all the circuits and ride that glory for the rest of my career. Like, you're still
Yeah.
doing your business.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like, this is a thing that I did, and now
Yeah.
you can pay me to show you how to do yours, but I'm not even doing mine anymore. Like,
yeah, I guess I don't have that. I guess I've never set a finish line.
yeah, right.
And that's the thing. And I've said this before, that when I retire, I'll still have a eBay store. That's the most fun retirement.
Mm.
And like we kind of like chopped it up a little bit more. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
not even retirement. It's still just continuing doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something different, interesting to me. You know, like
Yeah.
I've said this before. Maybe I'm not gonna sell on fashion category. Maybe I'm gonna do parts and accessories.
Yeah.
And do it over again.
It's like a
Um,
reconfiguration,
yeah.
right?
So yeah, that sounds like a word that I'm gonna hang on my Instagram page. Under reconfiguration.
Yeah. Please excuse our mess. We're under reconfiguration.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, honestly.
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, going back to what you said in the beginning about you know, your goal is a feeling.
Mhm.
I think I'm with you on that, because if the feeling I'm going for is kind of stable and grown and maintained enough to
Right.
give back more, like, I don't really know how to put a number on that. And I think
Right.
even if I threw a number at it, the feeling would teach me whether that was the correct number
The
or
correct
not when
number
I
or
got
not,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like the number that I threw then was basically just my store folded 5 times over,
Mhm.
something like that. You know, when we were still living in an apartment, my goal was to just be able to afford a house, right? And then now I want to go. It's like, okay, we're affording a house, we're affording cars, and then beyond that, I was like, do I just need to get a bigger house or more cars?
Right.
at that point,
What
it's like,
happens now?
we've seen that movie over and over again, that
Yeah.
it doesn't compound that much.
Yeah.
You know, like I might be able to, you know, and again, like I'm not a trophy guy that I'm just gonna show trophies like, oh, look what I did, right? But maybe one of the things that, you know, an exercise that a lot of people could do is total your expenses, right? And once
Yeah.
you total your expenses, how much do you need to sell to cover the expenses? And then imagine if you had double the money on the expenses that you need to live. That means technically you can live 2 of your lives.
Yeah. Right.
Right? So that's how I see it. If I can live 2 of my lives, I mean 2 of my expenses,
Yeah.
I should be pretty good.
Yeah.
And as long as I don't, you know, go crazy and buy a Lamborghini tomorrow, like me and Glenn used to talk about,
Yeah.
we'd be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many ways to structure that, right? A lot of
Right.
people are like, this amount of emergency fund will
Yeah.
make me feel like
Exactly.
secure or whatever, you know?
Right, like I mean,
there's my house being paid off,
right,
whatever
like
it is.
that was Glenn's exercise, right? When
Right.
he paid off his student loan and he paid off his house, that was it. And
Yeah.
the dude's, you know, killing it. And then it's
Yeah.
like, that's it. And then now he's looking at the kids' college, you know? So I was like, okay, that's...
Listen, there's always something else.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Next
What's
thing
the
you know, he
next
buys a
thing?
boat or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, goal is a feeling. And it, again, but that's why we talked about it, right? Like the feeling of accomplishment, right? And I feel like it's the same feeling, whether, because it's gonna be different for each and all of us, but we all share that feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, this reminds me so much. I just earlier today was listening to a podcast, which I highly recommend if you are interested in personal finance. It's one I've been listening to for a long time, but it's called the Earn and Invest podcast with Doc G. But he does an episode like every week that's 10 things about something.
okay.
And this episode this week one that I listened to was about 10 mistakes that he made with money in his
Okay.
life. But one of the huge takeaways from this episode was how people will, like, including him, like, he made this mistake at one point, but he prioritized a high salary over purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the problem with that is that we expect that making a lot of money is what's going to make us happy, when actually all along having purpose is what makes us happy.
Yeah.
There's loads and loads of research on that.
Right.
And I think that ties perfectly into this whole idea of like, well, when you're setting a goal, like let's say that you are trying to, no matter what goal you're setting with your money, especially, or your business income or whatever it is, your GMV, right?
Right.
Like you are actually setting a goal about a feeling, whether you say so or not, because you're
That's true.
expecting hitting that goal to make you feel
To
a
feel
certain
this way. Yeah.
So if you're the kind of person who's just always throwing numbers at the wall for your goal setting, you really need to ask yourself, what do I expect to feel when I hit this goal?
That's
Because
so
if you're not getting like enough of a sense of purpose out of what you're doing in order to get to that goal, it might be a waste of time.
true. Yeah. Because by then you arrive at that destination that you've set on.
Or
and-
like in Doc G's example in his own life, it wasn't a waste of time, but he got really burned out in his career really early because he wasn't prioritizing the thing that actually made him happy. And it feels like the responsible thing to do in some ways, right? To prioritize like paying your bills and meeting your needs and that dollar amount. But it's really incredibly important to align the dollar amount and the purpose and balance them somehow.
Yeah. So, no, I think that makes the headline.
Yeah, well, shout out to Doc G for that nugget because he's great. He's a really great podcaster, and
Yeah, it's being insightful, and knowing. Again, it's just getting to know your own true self, and I maybe this would be the quote that stuck to me. I saw it on Instagram. It says, "Dream like when you were a kid that hasn't discovered self-doubt yet." And more, I'm leaning to, it's like, golly, where have these doubts came? And sometimes doubt could be in a form of either a limiting belief or I don't know what to call it, an unlimited belief. That feeling of you feel like you have all the time in the world and nothing's enough. Because it's a double-edged sword, right? Like some people could underachieve, or some people could overachieve so much that you forsake everything. Because as we've discussed today, it's not that it was you deprioritize something over something.
Yeah.
And it's not all the time the thing that you deprioritize is not important. Most of the times those are actually important too. You just didn't feel like it was important at that moment, and you have it in the back of your head. I will pick it back up later.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not, you're gonna have to face that decision. Are you gonna pick it back up again or not? And that's everything.
Yeah.
So there.
Well, I think we did wax a little philosophical in this one.
No.
It's cool though. Like I love having the higher level conversations like that. I think we do spend so much of our time in the details and arguably sometimes in the weeds, right? About these little nickel and dime kind of issues. And it's like, you got to check in sometimes and see, how does this align with the big picture? How does this align with like what the whole point actually is?
No. And I think that is, pretty, I would say that is the reality where I'm living at right now. And I think I think it was really good to be able to share it with you guys. Me and Ann have had multiple conversations this year specifically, and again, like, chase after your dreams. I think that's the biggest thing, and as long as it's your dream, as long as it's not somebody that burden you to dream for
somebody
yourself.
else's dream.
Yeah. And again, that's what I guess, in hindsight, that's the American dream, to be able to live your life according to how you want it, and at the same time be able to help others along the way, inspire others. It's I guess it's not the selfish dream. It's the selfless dream that you get to do, to get to enjoy all the good things that you have accomplished with the people that are near and dear to your heart and that are important to you. So there's that.
There's that. Just a little chit chat
Yeah,
about your purpose in life.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, we should probably thank our sponsors for
Yes,
bringing
exactly.
us on this fun journey.
Yeah, so I
Coming
mean,
with us.
huge shout out to Seller Ledger for supporting us and being a partner of this podcast. Seller Ledger is a bookkeeping software, so if you haven't checked it out, make sure you follow them at Seller Ledger on Instagram or sellerledger.com. Try them out. Make your life easier. Get
Yeah.
your book straight, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Oh. Spend so much time chasing goals, numbers on a screen trying to fill a hole. Late nights, head down, all gas. Didn't even see how quick life passed. Build it up piece by piece. Still asking myself what brings peace. Funny how the higher you climb, you start looking for a different kind of prize. What if the goal is a feeling? What if the dream keeps shifting? All this time we've been building, trying to find what's been missing. Maybe success ain't louder. Maybe it's life getting clearer. Maybe the win ain't the number. Maybe the win's in the mirror. Oh, cruise control don't mean slow. Sometimes that's where the good things grow. Phone calls, family, deeper talks. Things you miss when the tunnel lights. All based off the next big play. We'll finally make it all feel okay. But peace showed up quietly in the spaces in between. Yeah, what if the goal is a feeling? What if the dream keeps shifting? All this time we've been building, trying to find what's been missing. Maybe success ain't louder. Maybe it's life getting clearer. Maybe the win ain't the number. Maybe the win's in the mirror. Dream like the kid before the doubt stepped in, before the pressure got heavy, before the race to win. Maybe you already had what you've been looking for. What if the goal is a feeling? What if the soul needs healing? Not just more on the scoreboard, but more moments worth keeping. Maybe the point of the climb was never crossing a line. Maybe it's building a life you actually get to enjoy this time.